Okay, according to StreamYard, we are live again on this Monday. We're live at this time every Monday. My name is Scott, and with me is Trina, Paulus, author of Hope for the Flowers, but so much more. And every Monday, we, meaning Trina, has something new to share. We've had a theme of Easter, which I understand will be continuing today. Plus, today is the day that there's the great eclipse. So, Trina, I'm fascinated to find out what you have to say going forward about today. It's all yours.
Well, these are my solar glasses, which are totally black right now. But very shortly after this, I'll walk down the street with my glasses to be on a pretty close to, not quite solar. Lake Placid and Vermont have the full solar one. And I think my original town in a city in Ohio has a lot more. But we in the New York region, I'm in New Jersey, near New York, um, have a good deal. So I have my glasses and I saved them from the last time when I was in an eclipse. They're, they look totally black. You don't see how you can see a single thing. But I tried them out and looked straight at the sun, and there was a teeny weeny spot up there. I don't know what you'll see unless you have a telescope or a magnifying glass. I remember the last time I was at one, someone did have a telescope and they let all of us take turns going to look through it because it looks quite different than when you see a little teeny like pinhead up in the sky. That's the solar eclipse that we're all trying to see. So today I just wanted to share this is still Easter. This is like this is like the 8 days of Easter is considered 8 days of Easter, and that and this whole liturgical year thing. I want to read something from D.H. Lawrence about it because it's really fascinating. But the, the way that we had typically done it, like the Feast of the Annunciation, is also 9 months exactly before Easter. It's usually on the March 25th. But because that fell in Holy Week this year, it was moved to today. So today is the Feast of the Annunciation celebration. And so it's an interesting phenomenon. And I do have my, this liturgical year is basically two cycles. One is the light coming out of darkness and winning over the darkness, which is the Advent, Christmas, Epiphany season. And then there's Lent, Easter, and the whole big, beautiful time afterwards of the fruiting of the year and the flowers and the and everything that stands for that. And so I meant to have my bouquet of daffodils here, but neglected to get it. It's a little late now. So um, so here we have that solar reality that has been so important to most of the peoples of the world for most of history when they didn't know what it was. And it was such a sign, a scary, scary thing. And I just heard the story of when it was in Montana in the late 1800s. And the people thought it was the end of the world and Christ was coming back. Well, it didn't happen then. And I just wonder if what it was when Jesus was on the cross and they said the sky went dark or from 12 to 3 and the veil of the temple was written too, whether that was another eclipse that wasn't recognized at that time. So we have all those spiritual phenomena. And I think since I'm into that right now, let me read this bit from this is like one of our about 6 catalogs we made at the time that we were doing it. We sold things around the world, around the country particularly. And this is what I put. I was the one who made the sculpture. Then I went and got it fired, and then we had a company called the Cincinnati Doll Company make the molds of it and made castings, and it became a real big success for many many years. For since 1953 till 1969 when we sold it to Abbey Press, and this is what they did with it. Then I just have a couple of things. They put out a catalog very much the same size of our things. I'll show you some of those in the program. And this is the Nativity, which I think you've seen in my Advent teachers. But they put that on their cover. And of course, me coming from a much smaller outfit, oh gosh, that was a $50,000 value of advertising in that cover. My goodness gracious. Well, D.H. Lawrence is mostly known for things like Lady Chatterley's Lover. But here he wrote something thoroughly beautiful. The churches loudly assert we preach Christ crucified. But in so doing, they present only half of the story and only tell half of their duty. The creed says, was crucified, died, and was buried, and the third day rose again from the dead. And now I believe in resurrection, so that to preach Christ crucified is to preach half of the gospel. So I'm going to slip down to the bottom. The resurrection is to life, not to death. Can, if not then, walk the earth in gladness? Can I not then walk the earth in gladness, being risen from sorrow? And we do have many things to be sorrowful about. You can't forget the genocide that's going on in Gaza right now. I don't know how you feel, but it's almost unbearable to even think about it. That's going on. The cruelty is astounding. And so we need to think about what it means to be risen. And I think I'd like to spend some time about In Hope for the Flowers today. It is a resurrection story. It's a transformation parable. That if you believe in resurrection, it means that we get through life best without crawling over anybody and believing in a false climax at the top of the pillar, where we get to the top by our own efforts. The way we become our full selves is to trust that there's a destiny for us that's different, and we have to climb off our pillars, whatever one we're on, whatever one we happen to be on right now. And it happens over and over again for humans, not just once like with caterpillars. So we have to climb off, and we have to trust the cocoon or the dark night of the soul or the search or whatever it is. And we have to then give up being a caterpillar in order to be transformed. And when you see it happen in the life of the monarchs, which I'm most familiar with, you see such a struggle they seem to have to let go of that last covering of theirs and let it wiggle up, and they wiggle and wiggle and wiggle and wiggle on the end of a little web that they've woven. And then they become still, and the bumpy quality of the caterpillar still shows through it. Within half an hour, though, it becomes smooth like a piece of jade. And they sit there for about 14 days. And then their head is down, and the cocoon, the chrysalis, it's a chrysalis in the case of the monarch. It's a cocoon for some of them. The chrysalis opens up, and they stick their legs out, and they pull themselves out, all wrinkled up, and with teeny weeny little wings. And then they pump from this very bloated belly that they have. They pour juice into the wings, and the wings get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they just hang there for about 2 hours. The wings are very wet, and they can't fly. And finally, they can fly. Well, that's what we're called for. To trust that we can become these beautiful flying creatures. And it's not a perfect parable at all. No parables are. But then we can better when we can fly. We can love without judgment of anybody. We don't have to judge a single person. You don't have to judge the candidates you don't want to vote for. You can't judge their persons. That's God's job. We can decide what we want to believe, We can decide on their policies, which we like or don't like, but we should not judge their persons. That's what God does at the very end. We don't know what's in their hearts. We don't know what problems they had in their past. We know so little bit about them. We hardly know what's in our past and what causes us to do the things we do. What causes me to want to eat chocolate and not just a little teeny piece. Once I start, I want lots more. And maybe other people experience that too. So I too experience in my own ways. I said, that's probably what it means to be addicted. Once you start, it's very, very hard to stop. And so we need to go through life getting rid of our desire to climb over others, prove ourselves, to trust that we are beautiful children of God. And I have my Mary Magdalene still here from last week, the one who reached there at the foot of the cross, was considered a true disciple of Jesus, and is a little confusing, the images of these Marys in the Gospels, but it appears that the Mary Magdalene, who was this stalwart disciple and the first person Jesus announced himself to after the resurrection and told to become the apostle to the apostles, carrying the word of resurrection to the apostles, all hidden and all scared in the upper room, that she was also somebody early in Jesus' public life to whom they called seven devils. This was not sins. These were seven devils cast out of her. Maybe she had epilepsy. Maybe she had a problem like that. That's one of the speculations about her. But she was a woman of means, and she and the other women supported these apostles as they wandered around the hillsides and got them food to eat and supported them. So she was not apparently a poor person. She was Mary of Magdala. And so I want to bring the other side of all this is of course the Christmas mystery. And this is my big, very heavy Mary from the Nativity set with the baby. So we have that showing the other side of this mystery. And now we're into the growing season, the season that then will be burgeoning into full flower. Certainly in my part of the country, that's what it is. The flowers are out, the daffodils are out, and we're beginning to see the signs of spring. It's still very cold here. My feet and my hands, which are typical of Trina, are very cold. But it's very nice outside. And I did some weeding yesterday to kind of prepare for the coming spring. So, resurrection, solar eclipse, fulfillment of the year ahead of us, the belief that in spite of how dark things look, things can get better, hope that these fields stand for, and that we pretty well know the solar eclipse is not going to make it dark for very long, and the sun will come out again and next tomorrow, and we can dare to trust and move on that way. So perhaps that's enough for this day. I wish you all a very beautiful week ahead as we move into spring in the northern hemisphere and into winter, of course, in the southern hemisphere. That we enjoy this beautiful, varied earth that we have. So thank you very much for watching.